Pick the Nintendo Shack and pray. Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening says, yo.
Greetings, Koopalings! Welcome to this week's episode of the Nintendo Shack podcast. We are officially less than 2 weeks away from playing Tears of the Kingdom. Donnie, how are you feeling today?
Pretty excited, right? Like
I'm so excited.
Starting to build.
Previews came out. We'll talk about that. It's feeling real. As of right now, remember last week I told you I was doing that Tears of the Kingdom countdown on Twitter, inviting people to post each day their memories. It is trending on Twitter with over 1,300 posts as of right now. I'm looking at it. And I'm really enjoying seeing people share, their thoughts on each of the games and their memories or what they liked, what they didn't like, art, videos, commercials, really cool stuff. It is... the hype is building day by day.
Yeah, I imagine it's like at a fever pitch over there in Twitterland, right?
Oh yeah. There's every couple days, there's a leak scare, and then it's like, well, it looks like retailers got the game, but not really any evidence that it's leaking. So I don't know. It's so exciting. I can't wait. We're gonna talk about previews.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you dove into it, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
What have you been up to this week?
Not a whole lot. Not much, to be honest with you. Yeah. Playing a little Advance Wars. I've basically been getting into the groove where I'm playing basically a map a day. I can sit back and just kind of chill out and play.
It's a good way to play it.
Yeah. That's about it, really. I'm trying not to start anything new. I got Redfall tomorrow, I think. So I'm trying to save myself for that. And then I've got a 10-day sprint. Play as much Redfall as I possibly can before Zelda comes out. I'm pat myself on the back, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. Pretty proud of myself. I have held off on buying several games, like 5 games that I would have bought otherwise because of Redfall and Breath of the Wild. And I was just like, there's just going to be no time. There's no time. And I haven't bought any other game that's coming out until July.
Nice.
So I've cleared the decks. So at this point, I'm just, there's no point in starting anything new. I've done this much, might as well wait. So I think Redfall, I can jump in tomorrow night, and then I'll be playing that all week long. And then till Tears of the Kingdom comes, and I'll still keep mixing in some Advance Wars.
I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, I feel like you're playing 1 or 2 Advance Wars maps a day is you're not going to finish the game by the time Tears of the Kingdom releases, but you don't need to, I feel like.
I'm not in any rush to finish it. If I stopped playing Advance Wars, I'd be totally fine. I'm not going to because I want to play the second one, right?
Right.
So I'm going to keep playing it, but I didn't want to it's a long game or not.
It's pretty long.
And
some of the
battles
maps
are long
too.
Yeah, the maps are long. So I'm trying not to wear out its welcome by trying to rush through it. I'm just like,
I had to.
I'll just, chill out and just do a map here and there and as I go. And yeah,
that's perfect.
I got in.
It released the perfect time.
After the show last week, I got in a good 3 hours with Advance Wars that afternoon. I cut the grass and everything, and then I just really sat down and played Advance Wars for a few hours. And then since then, I was like, just a map a day, maybe 2 if it's a short map, but a map a day, just kind of hang out. I wish I could play in the sauna. I've been doing the sauna a bit, but I don't want to take the Switch in there. So, but that would have been a really nice little distraction. I did take, I'm not sure if you saw screenshots. I did boot up Yield Breath of the Wild. And I went around. I went around for a little walk, and a few. I'm really glad I haven't done my full tour yet, I basically was like preparing. The way that I have it is I went back to the plateau.
Yeah.
Where you start in the first game, and I was just gonna like just start a walk from there. And the game is so much bigger than it just
it's huge.
It takes so long to walk anywhere.
Yeah. Huge. Even on your horse, it takes a while.
Yeah, I know. So and my old save is stuck on my No More Heroes switch. So at first I just started a new file, and then I was like, I can't do this. This will take forever. No. So I made Jack back up his file. I was like, hey, back your file up to the cloud. So I just grab it. So yeah, I will start. I don't want to jump in too soon. But like what I was doing was I was basically just doing a bunch of flips and stuff, getting used to the runes, getting used to like the controls and the mechanics again. My dumb self, I was like, how do I do the Rivali's Gale? It's like, what button jumps? Like super trying.
That's exactly why I was glad. I did the same thing as you, Donnie. I jumped back into it. I used my old save file where, I have the game complete. And I just did that. I was like revisiting the controls, revisiting the world. I found a couple Koroks that I hadn't found before.
Nice.
I didn't start from the Great Plateau though. I specifically wanted to go check out the Zonai ruins and all of the like little relics and stuff that I could find, because I obviously like saw that stuff when I was playing the first time, but I didn't know it was going to be like significant in any way.
Okay.
Like
so help me with this, because you're way more attached or deeper into this than I am. How did anybody know? How did anybody know that any of that stuff meant anything? Like, is there a Rosetta Stone or a key?
Because there is a location on the map that's called Zonai Ruins, but you can see like their remnants of their civilization all across the map of Hyrule. But people knew that the Zonai were probably going to be important from the very first Tears of the Kingdom trailer when Link and Zelda are walking through that cave. Remember that very first one where she's holding the torch?
Yeah.
People knew that was going to be important because there were like the same Zonai scriptures on the wall. Like it was the same kind of architecture,
so that was the key
or like symbols.
That like really blew it up.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because I mean it's become the whole thing, this entire cycle for this sequel. And I'm just like, and I've seen like the ruins, and I've been there, and I remember being there. I haven't gone back. I need to do what you're doing, and I will before Tears of the Kingdom releases. But yeah, like it just blew up, and I was just like, how did they figure all this out?
People have found out so much. People have located like where all of the points in the Tears of the Kingdom trailers are in Breath of the Wild. They, have found out where each of the characters are standing in the trailers. Like it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
People are really, really like eagle-eyed about it. Yeah. Bored. People are spending their
time on their hands
waiting for Tears of the Kingdom by doing all this stuff in Breath of the Wild. No, I was glad that I went back. I explored Hyrule Castle a lot, just like to remember stuff. Rode my horse around. Yeah, the big thing was just kind of remembering the controls and the runes. And
I kind of did the Great Plateau over. Like I walked to each shrine.
That's smart.
Just to kind of like get my bearings down, and then I was about to hop off and find a horse and probably just like retrace my steps. How I remember it the first time. But here's the thing. Just when I booted it up, I was like, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, just like spend a couple hours like one night and just kind of read. I was like, oh, this is going to take a lot longer. Literally, to walk around Hyrule might take me like a week. I might need to get started this week because it may take
if you want to see everything,
several days to just walk around and look at walk around, not do anything, just walk around.
No. I got killed by a black Lionel, so that was fun.
Always.
Yeah. Good times, good memories.
Those Lionels, man. We talk about the Breath of the Wild's discovery all the time, and that was just like such a memorable moment when you come across your first Lionel. I remember the first time like they had like the question mark, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, do I have to talk to him? I was like, no, you don't.
I think most people, mine included, first experience with the Lionel was during the Zora quest, where you had to go get the lightning arrows from around him, and like you could either choose to engage or you could sneak around.
Yeah,
that was my first experience. I think like I died right away, and I'm like, okay,
of course,
sneak. I'm gonna sneak around. I'm not gonna try to kill him at this point. But yeah, so I've just besides revisiting Breath of the Wild, just been doing my usual stuff. Still playing that little indie. I started the Splatfest voting is open for the Zelda Splatoon Splatfest collab. So I started. I picked my Team Wisdom for Zelda.
Geek Squad.
Yeah. So that's all. It's state testing week at my school. So I've been really busy with I'm one of the test coordinators since I'm the counselor. So I have to make sure everything is running smoothly.
Sure.
So last week and this week, and then I have to organize makeups for the people who are absent. So I've been pretty busy with that at work. Come home really tired.
It's almost over.
Almost over. Yeah. Anything else you want to chat about before we get into the news?
No, let's do it.
Let's do it. The Zelda previews have come out. Several journalists and influencers were invited to an in-person event to play Tears of the Kingdom for about an hour or two each. I saw this and I got insanely jealous, especially because I personally know several of the people who got to go. And I didn't watch any of the video coverage because I don't want to see too much. Okay. There were a couple written previews that I read. Specifically, I read Gene Parks from Washington Post. I read his preview. I know him. I read the IGN preview. Just because I wanted to know what they were thinking, but I didn't want to see things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it should make for a good conversation then, because I basically did the opposite. Okay. I watched a couple videos. Not nearly many, not many. As West30B says, are you saving yourself for May 12th or consuming every drop of Tears of the Kingdom info? And you could definitely count me in the former of that group than the latter. Definitely.
Me too.
I don't want to know a whole lot, but I wanted to get like I said, I just wanted a basic awareness of kind of what the gist was. And to be honest with you, I was really interested in performance stuff. So I saw a couple videos that were talking about technical aspects of the game, and I really wanted to know about that, which are...
What did they say about that?
Pretty good, actually, mostly. I saw plenty of footage that showed dips, which I was expecting, and it seems like the game it's going to get a little... It drops a little frames every time you activate a power. Right. There's just a dip in bandwidth right when that happens. But outside of that, in the very curated demo, right, we're talking about 1 hour of gameplay for however long this game is. But in the curated demo, people said a lot of nice things. It was very stable. Apparently the draw distance is noticeably bigger.
That's good. That's important.
And then I heard several, and a couple of people, maybe 4 videos, I think every one of them mentioned that it felt sharper.
Okay.
Which is a big get for me, because that's why I bought my, ghetto up-res scaler thing that I have attached to my dock over here, is just specifically to make it just a little bit more sharper. So I was happy with that. It looks good.
I feel like if it's even a little bit better than Breath of the Wild, that's a win, because it is the same hardware. You got to remember that this was developed as a Wii game for a long time.
Game seems to be doing a lot more.
It seems to be doing so much more. And Breath of the Wild, I thought looked good. Yes, it had, the dips in places. And I feel like you have to expect that because it is the same hardware. I'm glad to hear that, the draw distance, that's more important to me, things like that.
Well, the first game has that very defined, and most people probably would never notice it. It's one of those things that if you never watched Digital Foundry, I don't think you'd ever realize it. I remember Digital Foundry showed me this, I think with Grand Theft Auto 5 in 2012. And now I feel like I notice it every game now. But you can see there's a line of demarcation right in front of the character where things load in versus where they don't. Mm-hmm. And if you follow that line, you can just watch grass and flowers and stuff pop right in front of them. And in Breath of the
Ignorance
Wild, you
is
can
bliss.
yeah, in Breath of the Wild, you can clearly see it. Like it's 15 feet in front of them. But yeah, so that is really nice. The longer draw distance, it'll just make those vistas that much better. This, like the falling from the sky that much better when you're standing on a ledge and you're looking out of this total world and you see all these sky islands and everything below. I mean, that'll make it that much better to see that draw distance extended.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
that it is better.
The thing is, I'm not sure I don't think you listen to a whole lot of PSVG these days. A lot of the previews also brought up they reinforce some of my hesitation. I had a little trepidation with this building mechanic. You remember we were talking about it, and I was like, I don't know. And when that happened, when we saw Anuma's demo, you and a lot of folks were like, yeah, but it's Breath of the Wild. Like, you can choose to do it or not. And a lot of people were like, no, you can't. Like, you have to do it. Like, you can't not choose to do it. It seems to be very mandatory.
Well, no, okay. So I read that first of all, I think for the previews, they purposely wanted to showcase the building for them. I think they wanted to talk about that because that is largely how this game is new. People are wanting to know how it is different from Breath of the Wild. What can you do here that is different? And so I feel like they purposely wanted the journalists to talk about that. I also read that they, were kind of comparing to each other how they were able to solve the puzzles in front of them, and they each did different things. So I feel like if you don't want to go all out building this huge contraption, you can brute force your way through something. You can, find a creative way to use your runes through it. I do think that will be largely up to the player how in-depth you want to get with that. I still believe that.
Okay. My hesitation was stymied, or was just, it was lessened when I did learn that, like, when you build stuff, apparently you can just like save it as a blueprint or something, so you can like quick build it in the future. Because the controls, this was
did they say you can do that?
Yeah, I've had a couple previewers that are like if you build this car and you have the assets to build this car again, you don't have to sit there and piecemeal it together again.
Okay, that's good.
You can just,
you said you wanted that.
Yeah, and I do. Because the thing that's giving me the hesitation the most is the controls. Now, the previewers were basically given like a very short, like 20-minute demo on how to use the controls and then let loose, as I understand it. So they haven't really been trained on how to use them. And in true Nintendo fashion, I'm sure that they will like walk you through it one step at a time on how to use these new controls. These controls look a bit cumbersome, like really touchy. And I saw several of the previewers say that, like, hey, like you've got to be really specific, like where how you're aiming and rotating, and it's just like that's never been like my favorite parts of Zelda games. And we've seen puzzles and things that do that with motion controls, and then I'm like, oh my god, they've made it a whole gameplay mechanic.
I was talking about this on my stream yesterday. I feel like Breath of the Wild had more complex controls than any other Zelda game, and the previewers were saying that this was even more complex. That in the 70 minutes that they had with the game, that they still, it didn't feel natural to them after an hour of playing. So it might take a lot of time. I feel like they have all of these amazing ideas and mechanics and stuff, but there's only so many buttons on a controller. And,
there's going to be a lot of like holding down different buttons and moving things. And like, it's a bit maybe clunky. I don't know. Like, we won't know until we put our hands on it, but it's just not exactly how, like, when I think of the Zelda combat and stuff, I don't think of like, oh, freeze and glue this thing together and hold this down and spin this around the circle. I'm like, oh no, like this does not. And one of the reviewers simply mentioned, if you just wanted to grab the Master Sword and fight, this may not be the Zelda game for you. And I was like, ooh, that seems like a really large statement to make. And I just don't, the reason I've repeated on PSVG and the reason I'm repeating it now is it sticks out to me because I'm not sure how many people are ready for that. Like, are people ready for that experience? Like a Zelda game where it's not that. Because Breath of the
Right.
Wild very much still is that. You can just pick up a sword and like go be Link.
Until it
This
breaks.
game feels a bit different. Might be a little
Yeah.
bit more. Might be a little tougher. A little more. I've seen some of that in some of the preview coverage as well, which I actually welcome. I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I do think that is a main gameplay gimmick in this. But I also feel like they purposely wanted, the previewers to talk about that. They purposely placed it so that was what they would be doing for their time with the game. So I think, yeah.
It looks very cool. Like, as I said the first time, it's not that I'm opposed to doing it. It looks very cool. Like, I want to build a plane. Like, that looked awesome. Like, that is really cool. And maybe when we put our hands on it, maybe it will feel as magical as maybe they're intending it to be. You won't know until we do it, right? There's no way of knowing. If it feels cumbersome and it stops the flow of the game and it feels out of sorts, then that's not going to be a good thing. If it feels as magical as it looks and you're like, holy shit, I'm flying, look at what I'm doing, then it could be the greatest game they've ever made. And, like we just are in awe of it. I'm kind of trending towards that latter part because it just does seem to have so much going for it. There's so much there. I just don't want it to be a craftathon. That's like the big worry. I don't think it is, but I don't want it to be. And that's, so if anybody out there that's hearing, they're like, oh man, Donnie sounds like that's, I'm really doing it to bring up more talking points than anything else. But a lot of this game's preview coverage has been craftathon. And it's like, I really hope like that isn't it. I hope that's like,
you're gonna end up like crafting bigger, better things than I am. Like I'm just telling you right now, you are.
I think Jack is. So that's
I'm
the
sure
thing.
Jack
There
will.
is like a generational thing. There's like a Fortnite Minecraft thing here where like Jack and his three friends they are so excited. They see that and they're like, oh, I can't wait to do it. And it's just, I feel old because I'm like, I don't want to do any of that.
A lot of people were comparing it to Minecraft, but I think Fortnite is a better comparison.
Yeah, so do I. Because it's,
and you're right. I think it might
building,
be
but it's like within rules. Whereas like Minecraft, literally you can do anything.
You can do anything.
You're terraforming and all that. Like, yeah, no, the Fortnite is like you're just building obstacles and things and vehicles to help you, proceed,
that help you in combat.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
And so Jack is very excited, and I already imagine that I'm gonna play it for like an hour, and then Jack's gonna be like, I'm 10 hours ahead of you, and I've done like 3 dungeons. He's gonna like spoil everything for me because he's in a whole separate level. Like he is foaming at the mouth to be let loose from this thing. He wants it.
You're going to be so proud to attach a wheel to your little car.
Like, look, I made a wheelbarrow.
He's going to be like, look at my airplane.
He's going to come in with like this Lord of the Rings tower fort thing. He's like, oh my. He's like, I've made a weapon of destruction.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
I'm like, I made a glider.
Dungeons. So we still don't know if dungeons are confirmed, but in Gene Park's preview, he said that he started to go towards this big structure with a door, and the Nintendo rep said, no, don't go in there. You can't go any further than that.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
I mean, we've seen...
What did they not want him to see, Donnie? What did they not want him to see?
In the preview stuff, like in the trailers and stuff, haven't we seen like big doors on the Sky Islands and stuff? I feel like I've seen that.
Yes, but it's very interesting that they did not let him go there.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this one of 2 ways. Dungeons confirmed, internet go crazy, all the hype and fun. Also could just be, as with most things with Nintendo, the simplest, not fun answer is typically the answer. Nintendo super controlled the demo. They probably wouldn't let him do anything outside of that. Like, he didn't have to go the door. He could have just jumped off the island. They'd be like, no, don't do that. So I don't know. I think they're dungeons in the games. I think that's an easy thing to ask for. And the reason that I think they're there is we haven't seen any shrines at all. And I think if we saw shrines, maybe I think that's something that they took to heart. I think they want to put dungeons back.
This will be my favorite Zelda game if they have traditional dungeons.
And I mean, I'm on 2 sides of this. I really like the shrines. I liked the shrines because they were bite sized. Like I got to tell you, I'm not looking forward to like a dungeon that's so big and complex that I'm playing it like just playing that dungeon through multiple play sessions. Like that's not what I want. I don't want to be spending 2 or 3 days in a dungeon again. But I mean, if the game is as good as it needs to be, then I mean, I'll definitely do it. And it could be great. Sometimes I've had dungeons that are amazing and memorable, but all other times I've had dungeons where I'm like, for the love of God, I just want to get to the end. So we'll see. Well, it depends on how good the dungeon is, but I hope I don't know. I think the Divine Beast is like a good scale of size. I would prefer not to go back to where I don't want a dungeon that's got like 5 different levels and each level has 16 different rooms and, you know, like some Jabu's belly thing that
Okay, you picked the worst
example.
example. You picked the worst dungeon, and I'm calling you out for
You
that.
see what I'm saying? Like that might be the dungeon you're getting.
But no.
So you're remembering all the good.
Okay, there's like 7 or 8 really good dungeons in Ocarina of Time, and you picked the one bad one.
Yeah, maybe. I just hope.
Maybe no, that's true.
Spagoop says Skyward Sword's dungeons were beatable in one play session, and that would be like
Skyward Sword had great dungeons.
That would be my hope, that they're just not like super long and in depth. That was my favorite thing about the shrines is if you got to one that you were stumped, you could just easily back out and leave and come back later, and you didn't progress the rest of the game. I really liked that. I thought that was a nice addition to the Zelda gameplay. So if they're going to pull that away, then I would hope I'm trying to think of a dungeon that comes to mind. I don't know. Yeah, I would just like not a giant labyrinth dungeon, which I feel like Zelda fans, like, you know, they really want that. They're like, nah, I want 18 levels of hell to like go through and come back out of.
Temple and Ocarina of Time.
That's one that usually always comes to mind. Like that's like
Arbiter's Ground and Twilight Princess.
Yeah, the Forest Temple is like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just that would be great. You know, like a true temple, but not like you're going to be here so damn long. I don't want to be making multiple save points in a dungeon. That's the best way of putting it. I don't want to be doing that.
Dragon Roost Island and Wind Waker.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. I love Dragon Roost.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah, so file size now listed at 16 gigabytes, which makes it the biggest first-party Nintendo game on the Switch.
Yeah, and I feel like the pre-release was like 18. There was like the web page used to say 18 and a half or something like that, and it's gotten down to 16, which makes me think they've either compressed or shaved the game to fit firmly on one card, right? Because that's what they're doing. Like the file size limits on the Switch card is 16, right? 16.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
I think so. So I think they've compressed or shaved or done whatever they could to get that thing on one cartridge, so nobody has to download anything. There's no updates or anything. You can just play right off the cartridge on day one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when people start, installing the game. If that
I think the limit's 32.
They have a 32 gig card, I believe, because we've been told about this with like third parties that it comes at like an extra cost. I don't know if it's an expensive cost, but we've seen with other games where that's where they do like the download only thing. So they don't want to pay for
with
cartridges.
A $70 price tag. They shouldn't hesitate at that. If
I'm with you. I would say they shouldn't hesitate at all. We're talking about flash memory. This is about as cheap as it gets in these days. But you
shell out the extra price for that.
Nintendo misses the days where they had their own proprietary cartridge and can charge whatever they want. I see NBA 2K. They're like, "Hey, we want to put our game on your thing." They're like, "Yeah, it's going to be $100 extra." They're like, "For what?" I have 1 terabyte flash on my keychain. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Al writes in, he says, "Weeks ago, I asked you if there was time travel or playable Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom, and you said no to both. Are you sticking to that? Did I say no to both?
I don't remember saying no to time travel.
Yeah, I think there could be time travel, or at least reminiscing of different time eras, I guess. And maybe one way of putting it.
I do think there's time travel. I believe you, Al, that if I said no before, I thought I said yes before, but I do think there's time travel still. I still do not think there's playable Zelda. Let it go.
I want to play Zelda.
No. Just let it go. It's not.
I will not.
Maybe a small segment at best.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Maybe
just a dungeon. So. You just get to play the dungeon as Zelda.
Why? Why do you?
Because it's awesome. Because we want to do it. Al, I have no idea. I will say no. You know what? Just to stick apparently to my original no to both. But I would like playable Zelda. That'd be great.
I'm so excited.
I am too. I am feeling the hype. Like I can't wait to play. Jumping back into Breath of the Wild again, just this game is it feels daunting. I'm a bit intimidated. I'm just like, Breath of the Wild is so much bigger than I remember, and this game apparently is like 5 times that big, and I'm just like, how do I have it in me anymore to keep doing this? Like it feels like a lot right now for some reason. I haven't really tackled a game this big in a minute, in quite a minute. I beat GTA 5 last year, Far Cry 6. You know, those are pretty big games, but like this feels significantly bigger. So,
think it'll win Game of the Year?
I do, yeah. I thought that before the year started. I mean, it would.
Me too.
And it's not that it's just a given that like it should win. Obviously, it's a contender. Any game that has any marquee release, usually a first-party appeal, you know, is a contender. Zelda is always a contender because that's just what Zelda does, period. It is a flagship for video game, the industry. But as I was mentioning on PS, again, to harken back on things I've said before, I was trying to tell Dev and Delvin, I was like, this Zelda game in particular is doing so much more than you realize because they haven't played Breath of the Wild. They're not recognizing the differences. To them, it's just more Breath of the Wild. I'm like, it's not. No. Like it looks completely different in so many ways. It's not. This is, yeah. I'm actually impressed and surprised that they've ventured so far off course. You know, like the Breath of the Wild had set such a standard. To see them deviate from it so hard is actually
I think that's what we wanted. I think we wanted them to build on what they have and give us something that is
but
better.
Did you ever imagine it would be like this? I didn't. No. I thought they'd do in true Nintendo fashion, right? Like they came across a new thing, they'd innovate, they'd add some new mechanics and give it to you again. Like they've done with every Zelda and Mario and Kart and everything they've ever done, you know, like
I mean they did innovate with the mechanic of the fusion.
This is way more than I would have I was thinking they'd give them, you know, a new weapon or a new thing or like, you know, no, they're like, no, you can build a spacecraft. Like, what the fuck? Like it's a rocket, attach it to your shield and now you're a Jedi.
What if we go to the Blood Moon at the end of the game and have a duel with Ganondorf on the
wouldn't put it past
a rocket that we take up?
I wouldn't put it past him. Like that's where this game is. This thing is like in weird territory. It's like there's almost sci-fi appeals. There's all kinds of stuff here at play. And I know I'm not like shocked. I don't think it's a bad thing. I would have never guessed that they would have went this hard. It's just not what Nintendo typically does, especially when they have something that really works. You know, they're going to find a way to sell it to you multiple times. And here they were like, here's just throw everything we can think of on top of that thing that you knew. It's just like, wow. You know, like, as I said, when we saw the trailer, I was like, and I know this is crazy even saying it now, but because we don't have it to play it yet, we can talk about this now. Where do they go from here? Like my mind is at a loss of like, what do you do? Is it Breath of the Wild 3? Do they just do something completely different and they go back to making old Zelda games? Like, I don't know do you just make it more crafty?
That's what we said after Breath of the Wild.
Is it super craft-a-thon again? Like, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot here. It's intimidating. It's daunting. Daunting is a better word. It's daunting.
Daunting, yeah.
It feels like there's a huge amount of game and mechanics and systems I have to wrap my arms around. And I feel like there's going to be, even for me, so I've beat Breath of the Wild 3 times, and I feel like I'm going to have a learning curve. That's crazy. for a sequel. It's like I feel like I'm gonna have a huge learning curve to like really wrap my head around how all this stuff works.
On my GameStop pre-order to make sure.
I wonder if it'll be approachable, like accessible. Do you think it'll be like you can give this game to like your 8-year-old and let them play their first Zelda game?
I don't know, and I was a little bit worried about that. I'm unsure because my dad struggled with some parts of Breath of the Wild with the controls, and I had to do a couple of the harder boss battles and stuff for him. And
Excuse me.
I'm worried that he'll struggle with it, and that also might be true for kids.
I was thinking about that because Jack struggled with Breath of the Wild. Now he was much younger than he is now. I think he'll be fine now, but when he was younger, he struggled with Breath of the Wild. And this game looks significantly. I'm of two minds because I look at what Tears of the Kingdom is doing, and I'm like, this looks significantly more complicated and complex than most Nintendo first-party games, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you do see kids and what they're doing with Minecraft and Fortnite, and I was like, maybe I'm selling them too short because they seem to know how to do all this stuff that even I don't know how to do. So like, there is a part of me that's like they'll adapt and learn that language faster than I could. I'm the one that has 30 years of conditioning to break, not them.
It's true.
So I don't know how that works.
We're the ones that need to go back and remind ourselves how the control in Breath of the Wild works.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll find out. I can't wait. I haven't dug reviews in years. I haven't been on the reviews for a while, so I don't think that I will. But it'll be interesting. I mean, there's always some part of like a big notable review cycle that you can't escape, especially with our Discord and all the fantasy critic stuff. I'm sure I'll see wrap-ups and things. And what I was telling Delvin and Dev is I think on the sheer grounds of what this game is doing, like a systems and mechanics level, I think this game is going to be like, I think it's going to review super well. Because I feel like this game is pushing like the medium forward in a way that it's never been. It's like it's going to new territory. It's charting new territory for games. And I feel like when a game does that, it typically reviews super high. So I expect that that'll be the case.
I'm so excited, Donnie. Like, it is consuming all of my thoughts. Like,
I'm not there
day.
yet. I feel like I'm still like, I'm not allowing that to happen. Like I'm safeguarding myself. Like I've got guardrails and blinders up. I'm like, don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. I'm focused on Redfall. I'm focused on the Ally. Like I'm focused on these other distractions that are distracting me. But I feel it. I feel the temptation. Like the other day I was thinking, I was like, maybe just boot up Wind Waker. And I was like, no, just be strong.
That's good.
I am feeling it.
Nintendo is headed back to Gamescom this year in August. They haven't been at Gamescom since 2019. This is coming after Nintendo declined to participate in the now defunct E3. What do you think about that?
I know a lot of people are thinking it means they're going to come with a system or something. I think it's probably just because of COVID.
Yeah. They came back to PAX after a couple of years too, since pre-COVID.
Yeah, I mean, look, they can do whatever they want, but people have said it for years. The Nintendo didn't need E3. That makes no difference with Gamescom. It's the same thing. Like, why? I think it's interesting that so many people thought like, oh, we get a system announcement at an event. For years, they were talking about how Nintendo didn't need an event. So it's like, why would they suddenly need it now? I don't think that's the case. I just think I think publishers have a marketing budget, and while digital can reach a large amount of people and they can do directs and it's in August, so they probably have a direct about that time. That sounds about right. So while you can do directs and drop YouTube trailers and tweets and stuff, you could only reach so many people that way. There still is some value to like getting out in public and putting your games on display and letting word of mouth spread and letting people actually touch them before they release.
Playing demos, how many people would not consider a game until they try it?
Yeah. Yep. So I think at some point, like I don't think we're going to go to like this digital future where there are no game exhibits. There will be game, showcases, expos, And Nintendo's going to want to be there occasionally. Maybe not every one of them, but they're going to want to be there occasionally. And Gamescom is massive.
Gamescom is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Like in a way that E3 isn't. E3 is a big reach. I think E3's reach is bigger, or at least the E3 that we knew was a bigger reach than Gamescom. But Gamescom is in Europe. It's a completely different market. It's a different thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I feel like August is way too early to announce new hardware.
I probably would agree with you. I mean, it all depends, right? Are they marching in launch? Are they launching in March? Or are they marching in launch? Are they launching in March, or are they going next fall or after that? Could you imagine we go all of 2024 with no hardware?
Would you agree that there's not going to be new hardware released in 2023?
I am, yeah.
Then what is the point of them announcing it before the holiday season when they want to squeeze out the last little bit of Switch sales with Tears of the Kingdom as their
maybe
Christmas game?
I mean, is it possible they could okay. So you're expecting just like a shadow drop then?
No.
Like they just come out of the blue one day? And
I didn't say that.
I think typically with hardware announcements, typically, it's not always the case, but typically, especially like new hardware, especially if it's different in any way, like if they're going to stick to like the Switch and it's just better, then maybe this doesn't apply. But typically with console announcements, you want to give yourself some leeway just to like introduce the idea to people. Like, hey, we're thinking of like, here's like kind of what our new thing is, and we'll talk to you later. That's usually what happens. Like you get to see it and they're like, you know, they did it with the Switch. They showed the Switch.
Yeah, why can't they do that early 2024?
Like they totally can. I'm not saying they can't. They totally can. They totally can.
I just don't see them doing it before Christmas if it's not out before Christmas because they want to.
Okay.
I think they have.
I think if the plan was to launch it in March, which I don't think it is anymore, but if the plan was to launch it in March, I think, you know, August, September, that's something I think they'd show it before the holiday. And I don't think at this point in the Switch's life cycle, unless they have a gigantic game that we don't know about, how much would that announcement crater the sales? I don't think a whole lot.
I think it would.
Okay. I think we just disagree.
They would have a terrible Christmas.
Yeah, but what, like if there's no games there anyway?
What do you mean if there's no games there anyway?
Okay, hang on.
People are going to be buying Tears of the Kingdom. People are going to be buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You know they are.
I think they would anyway. I think those people that would buy a Switch that don't have one would probably buy one anyway. The people that wouldn't buy a Switch because the new system that's coming out already have them. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
That's true.
And I think the people that are buying Tears of the Kingdom in November, I don't think they're gonna wait. Like like the people that are buying that have already bought it by November in my mind. If they were planning to go in March and they announced in August, then I wouldn't expect that many games in that window to really push hardware. But because I don't expect them to launch in March, I think this is a big long moot point because I think they're going to keep releasing games. I think we're going to have the Switch a little longer than people want. Like at this point, I'm not exactly sure when they're going to go, but I'm starting to like relegate myself to a Switch future where Nintendo just keeps milking it a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. Remember when it was like 2018 and we were like Switch
We've been for years. We've been talking about it for years. And yeah, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom has given me has made me reconsider a lot of different outcomes. And I'm just wondering, it's like there's a part of me that's just like Nintendo's like, you know what? We keep selling and we keep making good games and they keep selling, you know, so why disrupt the apple cart? Like at some point they have to, but I'm just wondering if they need a bigger dip. Like Switch sales have cooled, but I wouldn't call them dipped yet. They're still selling very well.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I don't think the expectation is to launch hardware any earlier than fall, like 2024.
Yeah.
That's a long time from now. That's a good bit. And if that's the case, I think they've got games. So
me too. And I think the reason for that is they didn't wait until they didn't wait to release Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I think that's our indicator.
It makes me think you're like, they've got a big Mario game. I'm like, maybe they do. Because if they do, they can buy a lot of time with a new Mario game. They can buy a lot of time with a new kart game. Like, there's just a lot of things Nintendo can still do. And it's, I don't know. I changed my mind a lot, and obviously, I think our listeners know that I probably go back and forth and flip and flop with every different direction the wind blows. But like, I changed my mind a lot when they pulled their systems. Like, they had a system, they had something. Dev, third parties had it. Dev kits were out, and they pulled them, and that really made me think twice. I was like, maybe they didn't like something. Maybe they're like, like I wouldn't say like back to the drawing board, but something didn't fit. I think we talked about this before, haven't we? I feel like
I think so.
Yeah, I think we talked about this, but like something wasn't right, and I'm wondering if they're, tweaking. They've gone back to the lab a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, I feel like we have seen that from Nintendo where, they aren't totally satisfied with something. So instead of, trying to rush it out and make it happen, they pull back and they say, hold on, what we have is working. We're just going to let this cook.
I think the market is different. And I mean, that would be my only guess. There are a lot of portables coming out. A lot of people are doing a lot of stuff in this space. And I'm just wondering if that maybe gave Nintendo a little pause. Like, hang on. Let's wait and see what happens before we, because once they go, that's it. They're locked in for an extended period of time. That's their thing. Maybe they want to wait a bit.
Yeah. I like your theories.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some quick hitting news before we get to the questions of the week. LEGO has announced 4 Donkey Kong expansion sets, including Donkey, Cranky, Diddy, Funky, Dixie, and Rambi. Who's Rambi?
I didn't know either. When I saw the press, I was like, who?
Rambi Kong? I gotta Google this one. Rambi Kong.
Yeah, I don't think it's Kong though, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it? It's the rhinoceros, Rambi.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Spelled with an I, not a Y.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, then I would have known who it was if you had spelled it right.
Yeah, I copied and pasted that. Damn teleprompter. I thought those were cool. I'm gonna get a couple. I got Jack the Super Mario Legos. Jack's really into Lego. But the thing that I liked about them is they're not like their own sets, so they're not very expensive. They're like little add-ons.
Oh, okay.
So they're like $20. Not bad at all.
Okay.
So I think I might grab them a couple.
Good for Donkey Kong fans.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Nice. ESRB rates a Lara Croft. Did you type this one too?
Laura.
Not Laura. Lara Croft collection from Feral Interactive Limited for Switch. Ooh. Any Tomb Raider?
I was a bit. So these games are rated in 2021. These games were announced in 2021.
Wait, did it come out anywhere else?
Oh yeah, these games have been out for a long time. These games are these are ports, third-party ports. Square Enix said that they were bringing these to Switch like 2 years ago, and then Square Enix sold Crystal Dynamics and all of Tomb Raider and everything. And like these games, I never thought they were coming. And by all accounts, these aren't very. I don't want to say very good games. These are not the Tomb Raider games people want. But one of them is like a multiplayer game, like a co-op game. It's weird. But yeah, it was not an important update, but because it was announced before, I thought we should bring an update that they've been rated and apparently will be coming out soon, probably sometime this summer. But yeah, if you want Tomb Raider on Switch, apparently it's coming. But it was surprising, yeah, because Square Enix had announced these years ago. They never made it. Feral Interactive is like a mobile board house. They do a bunch of Android games and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, apparently some top-down Tomb Raider games are coming to Switch.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. Especially after such a long wait. I want to skip this next one. I'm sorry. I don't want to do it. I don't.
Fair.
Cadence of Hyrule: Crypt of the Necrodancer will be available for free for Switch Online subscribers for a week from May 1st through 7th.
Starting now.
Free trial games. I have never played this game before, Donnie.
Oh, wow.
I've
I
never
figured you'd
played
been
it.
all over it. Dude, Caroline loved this game. I could not. I just
There were several times that I almost bought it, and then I waited, and now I'm glad I did because now I can play it. And this will be the perfect, week of a Zelda game that I haven't played. That is not like a typical type of Zelda game that will not burn me out.
Sure.
A week is a perfect amount of time to play it.
It's okay. So I'll give you a primer. It's super cool. It's so cool to see an indie studio, get a chance at Nintendo property like this. It's such a cool crossover. I personally could not do the gameplay. Like, it's just, I can't do it.
Isn't there a mode where you don't have to do it rhythm? It's like it does the you set the rhythm.
Huh. I don't know.
I read there were 2 modes.
I feel like that would break the game a bit because all the enemies and everything move as you move.
Let me see.
When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I can't see. Yes, it is the
Cadence of Hyrule's game modes allow you to play to the beat of your own drum. I'm never gonna find the answer this quickly.
Yeah, it's not Diablo style. It's the top-down isometric ones. It's like, what do they call it? 3/4 perspective?
Fixed beat.
Fixed beat.
I don't know.
I hope you love it.
I hope so too.
I could not do it.
I think I just want to see all the little references and stuff, like the enemy names as instruments and stuff.
Yeah, there are a bunch. I mean, it definitely does that well.
I like the art style.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
It's very cute. Yeah. And then I mentioned this earlier, the voting is now open for the Splatfest. The teams are based on the different Triforce pieces: Team Power, Team Wisdom, Team Courage. Early voting suggests that Team Courage will be the most popular choice, followed by Team Wisdom, Team Power being last.
Cool kids.
I'm getting a Team Wisdom shirt sent to me from Nintendo because I reviewed the game last year, so they're sending me the shirt of my choice.
That's awesome.
To rep Team Wisdom. I'm excited. This is first Splatfest that I actually care about.
Yeah, no, it makes me want to play.
Yeah.
Not enough to play, but it makes me want to play. It's the first time I've been like, man, that sounds fun, but no.
I think that they should do more Splatfest that are collabs with other games. Like they should do a Pikmin Splatfest. They should do a Fire Emblem Splatfest.
We've been talking about this
for should be
8 years. Of course they should. It should be a cross promotion powerhouse. They should be doing it all the time. I would rather them do Splatfest for the weekly eShop releases than what they've been doing. Some of them are so boring.
They are.
Ketchup or mayonnaise? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about?
The only one that I really cared about before this one was the Pokemon starter.
Pokemon, yeah.
Because I actually have an opinion about that.
It's so there for Nintendo to do this constantly. They could pit so many characters against each other, so many franchises against each other. I mean, it would be so good. It would get all their fans excited and talking about it. Absolutely. There's a great opportunity here to partner with other brands and do Splatfest with other companies.
They have. They did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
Yep. Yeah. They should do more of that. They should have, all of your Coke and Pepsi, all of your great rivalries, just get the buzz going. I would pimp out Splatoon so hard if I was in charge of that. I would make so much. Do you know what Activision would do to Splatoon? They'd make so much money. Nintendo needs to get with it. They're just leaving it on the table.
I would prefer it to stay with video games, but the XPS mentions the Three Houses Splatfest. I have not played Three Houses. I'm not a Fire Emblem fan, but like even that would get me to like research the Three Houses to pick which team I want to join, which could get me interested in that game. Be like, oh, hey, look, this actually seems pretty cool, So I think
the Smash effect.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. But no.
All right, hit us with the questions for this week directly from
Ketchup versus whatever. This one isn't really a question, but let me read here. TPR writes in, remember when Rebecca went at the Soulsborne Community's neck last week? We got questions about that on PSVG. Everybody loved your little soul. So tough and hard. So good. What if we just deleted all farming sim games, including Animal Crossing?
Pause. Animal Crossing is not a farming sim. It's not even close. It's not even close.
It's definitely close.
It's not a farming sim.
Close? You said it's not close? Do you not plant trees and pick apple? Like, it's close.
It's a living simulator.
It's close.
Closer to The Sims.
Oh, that's still close.
That's not a farming sim.
What are we defining as close? Like, I feel like that's close. That's what close means. Think about how much more serene we would live knowing no one cares about reloading your island to get this one little villager anthropomorphic representation of someone you're missing in your life. What what utopia we would have without Animal Crossing.
I'm gonna agree with you, TPR, and say that Animal Crossing fans, the fandom is toxic. I think that Animal Crossing fans should not have rights, and if we delete Animal Crossing, the world would probably be a better place. I agree with you.
I may have now just permanently entered Rebecca's hit list. Let's make it the next John Wick film. Someone
I don't like John Wick either.
That's all the justification needed. That was good. That was good, TPR. I could barely get through that without laughing. That was very funny. I Can't See says, I'm currently playing that Splatter game that you mentioned, and is me, because it's on sale. Any tips for the game? Well, I know you're in the chat. Are you having any problems with the difficulty or anything? My only tip for the game is, it wasn't particularly tough or challenging for me. Like, blow up everything, shoot everything, blow up every box and every vase and plant and glass, because that's where you get all the drops. That's where you get all the upgrades and the coins and all that. And then make sure you upgrade your weapons, get the shotgun and all the other stuff. You haven't done all of that yet. But the game felt like, I won't call it a twin stick shooter because it's not like an auto shooter, but it felt like that sort of game. It's pretty standard affair. Nothing. I didn't find it more or less difficult than anything else. Drew wants to know what games shaped the gamer you are today, Rebecca.
Zelda, Pokemon are the two big ones from my childhood. More recently, with like what I play nowadays, Chrono Trigger got me into RPGs. Zelda and Pokemon.
I think Zelda. I'm trying to think of like what a young Donnie was really into horror games, Resident Evil, Clock Tower, Silent Hill. Really into Zelda games, Mario games. Always enjoyed platforming, any sort of free roam, Grand Theft Auto, sports games, wrestling games, all that jazz. Mark, Shaq, I'm still on my original launch day Nintendo Switch. I've held off on getting an OLED because I kept thinking a new Switch is right around the corner. How long have you been doing that? Here we are, days away from Tears of the Kingdom, and I am torn again. Get the Tears of the Kingdom OLED or stay strong. How long do you think Nintendo will keep the Switch going?
Mark, get the OLED. If you
Are
play
any of your friends getting the OLED?
At all, I like a couple did, not that many.
Yeah, I posted in the Reddit.
Most of us already have
pictures,
OLEDs,
and nobody in our Discord's getting it. Like nobody's responded. Like, here it is.
If you don't have an OLED, get it. Especially if you play even a little bit in handheld mode. If you play 100% docked, it's not worth it. But if you play even a little bit in handheld, it is completely worth it. And there's nothing stopping you from selling it if they do release something else.
It's a Zelda model, So it'll always have
always
some
be
value.
valuable.
Yeah. Just keep your box and everything. And if you ever do want to switch it for the Switch 2, there's always a Zelda fan somewhere that'll buy it.
Keep your original so you can mod it.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about those. I can't imagine being on the... I feel like I've had the OLED for so long. But yeah, I mean, I guess it isn't that old. But I couldn't imagine being on my launch Switch. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin, where are the Guardians in Tears of the Kingdom?
Well, they were originally built to protect the people, and then Ganon ended up controlling them to turn them against the people. So after Ganon was destroyed, Calamity Ganon was destroyed, the Guardians were probably useless. So in the years between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they probably started cleaning it all up and getting rid of them and reusing the parts.
Dismantling them. Makes sense. Kate writes in, describe your perfect day.
You go first.
My perfect day is raining. I'm waking up to the rain outside. Maybe like a slight thunder, but definitely raining. It's dark, so not a lot of lights are on. I have this quiet, dark, rainy day where I've slept really well, so I'm bright-eyed. I wake up, probably curl up on the couch with a game or a really good movie to a big breakfast. I love a really good big breakfast, man. Bacon, hash browns, biscuits and gravy, eggs. And just, probably wake up around 11:30 in the morning, sleep way in. So breakfast is like lunch. Yeah. And just chill out, hang out on the couch. That's
Play
like a
video
perfect
games.
day. Yeah. And do video games.
My perfect day is that. And then at the very end of the day, I turn on the news and look at my lottery ticket, and all of the numbers in the drawing match up to my lottery ticket for the jackpot.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That'd be sweet too. Bruce Guy, do you think Nintendo is done with Amiibo Toys to Life once the Smash run is finished? Will they ever really use Amiibo in game again?
Fewer games are getting them. They are releasing one for Tears of the Kingdom. I think that the occasional first-party release will still get an Amiibo, like Zelda. I don't know that Splatoon still uses Amiibo too. I think the use for them will continue to be quite limited. I don't think we'll see as many. We really haven't seen as many very good uses for them in game since the Wii U days.
Seems like
so I think it'll just kind of continue.
Feels like Tears of the Kingdom is way more limited than Breath of the Wild scope was, even with Amiibo, right?
What do you mean?
Like with the Breath of the Wild Amiibo, you could have Wolf Link and stuff around with you in the game. I'm not sure if any of that's there for Tears of the Kingdom. Because don't the Amiibo just change your glider?
They do change your glider, and I believe they will also drop all the outfits and stuff too.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just the glider. I was like, they're just
no. It'll still drop the chest with how you would get
that's cool.
one piece of item per day. Yeah,
that was helpful.
Yeah,
there were some armor sets you could only get that way, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
There's some new ones based on new Amiibo that have released since then.
Yeah, I think they're probably done with it, to be honest with you. There's a part of it that wants to I would love to say no on the grounds that it's a really easy way to upsell a game and make a little bit more money out of a game. But they're so behind on releasing an Amiibo with a game that I don't even think that makes any sense. They must have such a hard time either getting a mold and getting them produced and getting them shipped. Because we're just now getting the Xenoblade ones. Those characters added Smash 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can't be it. So I think they're probably done with it. Yeah, they're probably done with it.
Were they the second to last character for the Smash DLC?
Don't even remember.
No, we still have the Kazuya Amiibo coming, and I think that's the last one because they're not doing a Sora one, which is a giant mistake.
I'm surprised they haven't just like called it quits without doing them all. Like they're still
Nah,
on this
'cause there's-
path of getting them out there.
Because there's a lot of people that are in way too deep with their almost finished
Yeah.
collection.
Like $10,000 worth of amiibo boxed up somewhere. And I imagine, I mean, they've already gained value. So I imagine someday there'll be like some amiibo collection that really, gets sold at eBay that we're all talking about. Like it's sold for $300,000. I don't know. I don't have any. I have barely any amiibo anymore. I'm all cut down to the basics. So
I only collect the Zelda and Splatoon ones.
makes sense. Nathan. Okay. Nathan says, yeah, love you all. Question for the show. Will we see our beloved Loftwings make a return as an in-game travel mechanic at Tears of the Kingdom?
I love you too, Nathan, but no.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Who wants a
You gotta build your own Loftwing.
You're of a jet, man. I saw like some of the
Loftwings are
preview
extinct.
coverage with the damn guy on like what looked like a fighter jet like, flying in the sky. I'm like, what are we doing? It's like just Zelda Top Gun, like a Numacy Top Gun. He was like, we got to put this shit in the game, guys. I now need aviators. That's what I'm missing. Like after the Loftwing, I need aviators for Link. That hair, oh, it's perfect. Somebody's definitely going to make that mod.
I'm sure.
Patrick says, what an amazing time for portable gaming with the Steam Deck and rumors of a Sony handheld. What does Nintendo need to do with the Switch 2 to stay on top of the portable space?
Make exclusive first-party games.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't think Patrick is somebody who's super excited for the Ally. I'd be shocked if Nintendo's next handheld was even like comparable to the Steam Deck. I think it'll be much less powerful than that. So, yeah, I don't think that I think Nintendo just needs to make Zelda games and Mario games. Like, there's a reason that they're a portable tool. And yes, there are people with Steam Decks, and I will have an Ally, and people will have other things.
What's an Ally?
That's the new thing that's coming from Asus.
Asus?
Asus? Yeah.
Asus?
Asus, yeah.
What is this, Dr. Seuss's cousin?
That's a good one. I don't know. I've heard it said both ways. I don't know which is the right way of saying it. But yeah, Asus, they're making a portable handheld that's coming out in a couple weeks. I'm going to get one.
Why?
Because it's...
Asus
Why am I going to get one, or
Ally?
why are they making one?
Why? Both.
Yeah, it's a portable PC because they make PCs. That's what they do.
So it's
I'm
a
excited.
Steam Deck competitor.
Yeah, but it kind of wipes the floor with the Steam Deck.
What does it run on? Like, what operating system?
So that's the thing. That's the reason that I'm interested. It's just Windows. It literally is a laptop.
So it's just a better Steam Deck?
Yep, pretty much.
How much it cost?
$700.
What?
Yeah.
Get a computer.
I have one. Yeah. I want one to carry around with me. It plays. I feel like I'm wasting time. So it plays like Grand Theft Auto 5, for example, at like 100 frames a second.
Can you download Steam?
Yeah. You can download everything. They actually have in their OS, they have the little connectors you can connect to the Ubisoft store, to the Epic store. It makes it really easy. Game Pass. You can play native Game Pass. People are playing Forza on it. It's pretty cool.
Try to go on their website to find this product, and it says I got a 404.
You have 404. No, they have a website.
I know.
There is an event next week, the day before Breath of the Wild comes out. Actually, there's an event where they're going to talk about it, but a lot of the stuff is already leaked and everything.
I can't afford that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one. Here's our back. Okay, so I'll do the Shack part of it. I'm spending the money that I've been holding and saving for Switch 2. I'm gone. Like, I'm getting rid of it. So it's draining the Switch opinion bank. I'll have to start over. But to answer, who was it? Patrick? Yeah, Patrick. To answer Patrick, nobody cares about that stuff when it comes to Nintendo. Like, I know that like I'm excited for the deck, and people are excited for these handhelds, and maybe Sony's going to do it. Maybe Xbox will do it. But that's not. People didn't buy the Switch just because it was a handheld. They bought the Switch because it had Breath of the Wild, and it had Odyssey, and it had Kart, and it had Smash. That's the thing that separates it. The Switch doesn't even run half of these games that the people I think on these other systems are excited to play. The Switch doesn't have Forza or Call of Duty or anything like that. Doesn't need to. It never has. So I think Nintendo just needs to be Nintendo. That's what they do, and that's what they do well. Kyle the Pug says, do you think Nintendo will add a Mario Pro Wrestling game? Who doesn't want to see Bowser power bombing Luigi? Or Luigi doing a moonsault off the top rope? When you said Luigi doing a moonsault, I have this picture in my mind of Luigi in like a singlet, like a wrestling leotard, like doing a moonsault off a rope in a wrestling ring. And now I kind of feel like I need it. That sounds amazing. That sounds awesome. I don't think they would ever do a wrestling game.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Too violent.
Oh, you think so?
For Nintendo's sphere.
I think you're probably right. But I mean, they've done boxing and stuff with the Mario folks.
Yeah, 15 years ago.
I mean, you're fair. Didn't they do it in isn't it in like Sonic in the Olympics games? Don't they have boxing?
I don't know.
I think wrestling isn't like if you're a company, I think it's just maybe looked down upon by like a certain class of company. Like they don't want to be associated with Vince McMahon, and rather like, yeah, we're good. We don't want to do any of that. But I like the idea. It would be nice for Mario sports games. I heard Jeff and Mike years ago at this point, at least last year, maybe in a couple years now. At one point, I was listening to one of their podcasts, and this idea that Mike spewed into the ether stuck with me ever since. Is he said he wanted Nintendo to do a beat 'em up, like Streets of Rage, but with Mario characters, like a Mario and Luigi game, but Streets of Rage, and that sounds amazing. It sounds incredible, actually. That's all I want. I think we should do that instead. Andrew writes in, how many units do you think Tears of the Kingdom will sell? For comparison, Breath of the Wild sold 20 million That's wow. As of December. Do you think it'll be more, less, about the same?
In the same stretch of time? No.
I think it'll be less.
I think it'll be less.
Yeah, it'll be significantly less. Because of that, but Breath of the Wild has been selling for so many years. I don't think Tears of the Kingdom will have that much of a run. Now, it does have the ability to be dual released, so maybe we're all buying it again in a year and a half. I would probably say less.
I would say somewhere between 15 and 20.
I think it's probably a safe bet. Zelda games, I mean, I don't want to say have never sold well, because 12 million is selling super well. Like most games don't sell 1 million. So, but Zelda games have typically never done like the big, wide-reaching Mario numbers that Breath of the Wild did. Breath of the Wild is an anomaly in that space. So I would expect kind of a course correction, kind of come back to the mean a little bit. But Switch still has a huge install base, and this game has all the marketing and stuff behind it. So yeah, I think it'll.
I think SBS is spot on. Less than Breath of the Wild, but way more than any other Zelda.
It's probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
G-Man, if Mario Baseball were to be released on Switch, what would make you buy it? Could it save the Mario Sports series on Switch?
Save the Mario Sports series. I would be a stupid idiot and I would buy it because I like baseball, and then I would complain all the way home about how it has no content and it isn't getting its fair share of DLC and how it's such a missed opportunity and how could they do this again? Camelot, what are you doing?
It's just be like an exhibition game of baseball and a home run derby, and that's the whole game.
Yeah, and I'll be
online multiplayer that doesn't work.
I really don't even buy Mario sports games, but I would be that idiot that would.
It wouldn't even be there on launch. They'd be like an online multiplayer. It'd have 6 characters. It'd be like Mario and a bunch of Koopas versus Luigi and a bunch of Koopas. And then like, we got guess who's coming? Special character now.
Peach!
It's Daisy. Like, get the fuck out of here, guys. It's so bad. If you needed any indication, that's how I feel about the current state of affairs with Camelot and Mario games. So
it's the bare minimum.
Yeah. You know what would get me to buy it? Somebody else making it, maybe.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because I love Camelot, but they have just let me down so many times. They make good games. They just don't make games that are worth day one purchases. They make Black Friday bargain bin like stuff. You need to get those games as cheap as possible, because while the aesthetic is good and like they do the thing, there's just not a lot to them. They're very shallow games. You know, they're just, and I like Mario Golf. It's not the Mario Golf at all that I wanted, but it's not terrible. Like it's a decent, like if all you want to do is grab a Mario character and go golf for 18 holes, it's a fine game. You know, but if you want to have tournaments and leagues and points and anything that like golf games for the last 15 years have done, Mario Golf sucks.
Yeah.
And the other games are worse than that. Tennis and Striker, they're worse than golf. Is just that. Like it has like one mode.
Strikers is so bad.
And yeah. That's weird.
Okay, I think you're back. It gave like that little error thing.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. Do you want to ask it again? Because I don't know if
I'm going to ask it again. I want to mark the time so I can edit out of the podcast. Yeah, we're back. I'm watching us on Twitter. Okay. 1 hour 18. Okay. Where were we? Picking up. Jay, if you could pick any game to add to Nintendo Switch Online that is tangled up in licensing issues, what would you pick?
I was going to say Chrono Trigger, but I changed my mind. It's tangled up in licensing issues. I want Beetle Adventure Racing. That game is very tied up in licensing issues, and that would be very fun to play online with friends.
You go so hard for this. I love it.
I do.
G-Man, no, I'm not on Twitter. I know that when we go live, the video automatically goes to Twitter. So I have the Shack account. So I clicked on that just to test the thing, because I don't have Twitch bookmarked. I don't use Twitch as much as most people. Yeah, I'll just say the wrestling games from 64. You know, I do think it would be really cool if they could get one of those wrestling games up, because the NSO does that local multiplayer hack and you can play with friends. That'd be a lot of fun, actually. It'd be really cool. That'd be Rebecca would be a better answer. I barely even subscribe to Switch Online. I don't even have the N64 pack. So.
Beetle Adventure Racing.
Beetle Adventure. I love how hard you go for that game. That's really good.
Because it's a good game.
I've never played it. Logan says, with the success of Mario plus Rabbids, what other crossovers would you like to see? Think could be successful?
Crossovers with Mario?
I think crossovers. Doesn't have to be Mario. I don't think that's. Maybe that's what he's asking. I don't think that's what he's asking.
Okay.
I think he's saying with the success of this crossover, what other Nintendo crossovers would. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know, Logan. Maybe if you specifically mean Mario, maybe we can answer it again next week. Let us know.
Or like Nintendo IP with like other.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Other IP. What was Rabbids before? Was that a Rayman thing?
Yeah, and but it was like its own party game. Like they spun the Rabbids.
But did it originally start from Rayman?
I think so.
Like where did the Rabbids originate?
I think so. That's my understanding. I'm not super deep into Rayman games. I've played them.
Oh yeah, it originated as a spin-off video game from the Rayman video game series.
Yeah. And the spin-offs have been like a party game kind of thing. Kind of like a Mario Party. G-Man says, what's a good Ubisoft IP to work with Zelda? I mean, I think that the answer is Assassin's Creed. Yeah. Like, the answer to that one is pretty much right there in the question. Almost like the answer to Jay's question in my mind, or the answer to Logan's question in my mind, is the Star Fox thing that they were doing. Just let them do that. That was, I thought that showed a lot of potential. I'm surprised they never came back with a Star Fox game. I am surprised. Maybe Starlink just didn't sell enough, but I mean, it was Starlink. It wasn't Star Fox. Like what they were doing would have been fun if it was just a Star Fox game. Phoenix Rising is another good one. Good call. I don't know if that's a franchise anymore, but
I would really have to think about it because I feel like that's like such a specific thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of. I immediately think of like, you could do a lot of things with like racing, right? You could have like Mario stuff and like Lego or Hot Wheels or like any arcade racer, Forza. There's a lot of play there. Can you put Donkey Kong somewhere? I can't. Nope.
I don't know.
Yep.
Nothing's coming to my brain.
Our last question, Spagoop writes in, what is the worst game you've ever played?
I don't know.
I mean,
there's a lot of games that I feel like I have tried and been disappointed by, so I just didn't continue them.
That's the thing, right? When you play a game that you don't like, you don't keep playing it, so it's not very memorable. Right?
Yeah.
I almost feel like the games that I would remember. Now I wrote down, I've got answers if you want to think about it or look up stuff. I've got a bunch of answers. So I hated Snake Pass when it released. I know a lot of people liked it. It actually reviewed really well. I think the game's terrible. Do you remember Project Treasure?
No.
Project Treasure was a game on Wii U that they showed multiple E3s. I think it ended up being called like Lost Reapers or something. It was a free-to-play game. I felt like maybe from Square Enix or, I don't know, Bandai or something like that. It was like this co-op game where you ran around a temple, like opening chests, and you had to like get to an elevator and escape before like a monster came. It was awful. It was terrible.
Horrible.
And it was a part of like Nintendo's like big E3 Direct. I think on multiple occasions, like they used it as like, you know, like at the end of the Wii U's life cycle, they were just like filling like just some filler to like extend the Wii U's life. They really used it multiple times. Like, here's Project Treasure. God, the game sucked.
Wow.
On Switch, I hated Super Bomberman R.
Oh, I really don't ever
God.
like return games, but I returned that game.
I thought it was back then we were doing reviews, and that was the lowest review I ever gave a game. I think I gave it a 40 out of 100. Like I hated it. It was awful. There was also a game on Switch, or I think it's everywhere. There was a Contra game that came out a couple years ago that was like a co-op shared shooter. It also was terrible. I played a game called Pine, which was like this indie game that was supposed to be like this open exploration crafting game. It was bad. And then just for giggles, I wrote down Tony Hawk 5. Because yeah, what a disaster that was.
I timed out Yarden in chat for saying The Last of Us 2.
A good answer, Yarden. Good answer.
No, that is not even close to the worst video. Shut up. I will not like there's so many
good answer.
Broken and like come on.
Project Treasures and the last one.
CDI Zelda, I played one of them. I mean,
did you?
It's
I've
bad.
never played those.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's like fun because it's bad. Like one of those. I didn't like Echo the Dolphin. It's bad.
No. Yeah, that is bad game. There's a lot of bad Genesis type things. Just trash. It just released for years back then. It was really hit or miss back in the day. Like I think the gaming industry has gotten pretty good now. There's a lot of junk that gets released, but it gets released in like eShops and stuff. It's not like notable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people even know it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now, if your game is being shown in like directs or YouTubes or channels or magazines, like typically
probably a decently good game.
Yeah, probably a decent game. Every now and again, you get something that really stands out, but most of the time,
I didn't play Balan Wonderworld, but I heard that was pretty bad.
Oh, that game is like I was talking about it with Jeff. Jeff, I think, put that on the Mount Rushmore of worst video games ever.
Yeah. Along with E.T., Superman 64. Like, those are bad games.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What a way to end on.
Anything for the good of the cause?
No, I was just hoping to see Arden Pat. I've been glued to the chat ever since you said I wanted to see.
No, I untimed him out. It was
nice.
just for the
Nice.
lols.
What a troll!
Because... All right, that is gonna do it. And next week we will be just a matter of days. So we're playing the best video game of the decade, Donnie, of the 2020s.
It's gonna be so much fun to...
Wait, I want to ask you something. I want to ask you, what is going to be your approach to playing this game? Like, are you going to play for hours and hours and hours every day?
Well, that's what I was just about. I'm glad you asked, because I was just about to say, this game, are we just going to talk about this for the rest of the year? Like, is that it?
Probably.
Is that the podcast? The podcast is, this is what we did in Tears of the Kingdom this week, the podcast.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, like, I want to get through, the big stuff without being spoiled. Like, I don't want to rush through it, but the longer you wait, the more chance you are to be spoiled of the exciting things.
So, a part of the Breath of the Wild thing was hearing other people's stories and seeing what they were doing when you weren't doing that. Is that a spoiler to you? Because I feel like that was a big part of, like, what was cool.
I feel like no, because there really wasn't a whole lot to spoil in Breath of the Wild.
Somebody told me about Eventide Island. I didn't find it. Somebody was like, "Hey, have you gone to Eventide Island? It's this crazy thing that you get to go." And I was like, "Oh, it's amazing. I gotta go check it out." I wasn't like, "I'm glad you spoiled the game for me." I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah, I guess for me, after it releases, things that would be spoilers would be story spoilers.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I don't want to see, I don't want to hear about the end of the game.
Right. Or like plot spoilers about like the characters or
I plan as much as I can to sit down and the day it comes out, not the day it comes out, I'll be working all day, but that night and that weekend for sure, I'm planning to sit down and play that game for many hours. Mm-hmm. But then I'm not taking the week off of work or anything. I'm not doing anything like that. So as I get back more into normal life, I'll just be playing it in much smaller doses, which will be interesting to see. I was already telling PSVG crew about that. I don't know, when we podcast, there's a big part of me that likes coming up with new games and new things to talk about. I'm not going to do that just to do it with Tears of the Kingdom. So I may just be talking about Tears of the Kingdom for the next 4 months. Hopefully that makes decent podcasting. Or I think maybe better, hopefully we get some news to talk about, because there have been it's been scratching the bottom of the barrel in Switchland for news.
That's because, every time that there's a release coming up, they're not announcing something new because they don't want to take the spotlight away. We've had
but it's even the ancillary stuff, the satellite stuff on the outside, on the fringe, has just been, we're not getting third-party announcements. We're not getting our news this week was, Lara Croft games from 2 years ago. It's it's just it just feels barren. There should be thing for a system that has a game this big. There should be things out on the periphery.
And G-Man brings up a good point. There's not going to be E3 this year. It's not even like we can say June is going to be when the next news will hit.
It definitely will not be. So it's Tears of the Kingdom until Pikmin and Oxenfree for me on Switch. I hope that some stuff happens. It we talked about this when we got back together to keep the show going. It feels very much like the lasting days of the Wii U at this point. We were just kind of...
Yeah, but at least we have stuff to play.
We do have Tears of if it wasn't for this, right? If this wasn't here, it'd be right there. But we do have this, and that's a great thing. I'm not planning on rushing it. Are you? Are you I have to play this game 12 hours a day until I finish?
Well, I'm not sure because we're not getting a review code until launch day, and I'm still going to be the one reviewing it. But I don't want to rush through it to get a review out in a week or two. So I will probably, what I will end up doing, and I like to finish my games before my review is out so I can give a full picture. But I have a feeling that the reviews that come out that week before release will not have the full experience either.
Yeah, I agree.
So I hopefully will feel comfortable saying I've played 40 hours. Here's my thoughts so far.
I think that's fine.
For the review.
How would you
I don't think anybody would
than...
blame me for that, right?
No. I was just about to say, how would it be any different than like trying to review Skyrim or any other giant game if you haven't played the whole thing? You know, it's
like I forget who it was. Somebody came out with a really good Star Wars review this last week that explained this is a huge game, and I would be doing a disservice, you know, if I didn't mention, you know, I have a family. I played, you know, 12 hours of this game. Here's my thoughts so far, but like, you know, the whole process is not fair to reviewers. It's not fair to the people reading the reviews. It's not fair to the developers to expect a full comprehensive review within a week.
And I would love the idea of like, I guess it just goes against its very purpose, right? To be a review there for customers that are interested in buying, but it's like, why even have a review that day? Like, if you're not ready, you're just not ready. You know, just hold your review until you're ready. But I know that'll never happen, right? Because everybody's got to be there.
I think it was Patrick Klepek from Waypoint,
I know
which
Patrick.
unfortunately, I don't know if you heard, Waypoint is shutting down.
Yeah, Kyle shared that. I saw that in the Discord. It's sad, but I'm surprised that we really have like professional video game journalism anymore. Like with the rise of YouTubers and influencers and things like that, I feel like they're just like,
it's going away, and that's bad news.
Sapped up all of that space.
It's very bad news.
So, it just seems like I love gaming journalism, so don't take this the wrong way. It just feels like a dying like space.
It is. Nobody's denying that, but
outlets
that's bad. It's not a good thing.
No, I'm with you.
But yeah, go read his piece on Star Wars Jedi, whatever, Survivor, whatever it's called. It's really good.
But the people that are reviewing, like they're just getting that review so they could be there. So it's like a race against time. They have to be there. And that's the part that sucks, because I want somebody's full experience. But again, I'm not the best person for that, because you know, I'm not on Twitter. And you're way more connected to like that space in this medium than I am these days. So like, I'm not going to read reviews.
You don't need to be on Twitter to read reviews.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't need anyway. And I just don't feel like, outside of somebody posting something in a Discord, like I'm not too concerned with, I'm personally not too concerned with being left behind or spoilers. I don't think I'll see a whole lot. Outside of the Discord. And our Discord folks are generally pretty good about, like, we have spoiler channels. Maybe I should open one for Zelda now that I think about it. We have spoiler channels, but most of our folks don't like, here's the whole plot of the game. Most of our folks, you know, just want to share cool things.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. That'll do it for this week. Go take part. Today is Oracle of Ages Day for the Tears of the Kingdom countdown. So go share your thoughts, memories.
Another one I never played.
Oh, it's so good.
I played it for like 2 minutes when it came out on 3DS, but I've never played it.
It's the best time travel of any Zelda game.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And we will see you next week, Koopalings, for the final countdown.
Yes, Koopalings.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. This is Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening. And I forgot the line already. What?